So last 2 videos that I put out on my channel have been about tunnels, and I want to continue this topic with describing how we would train for tunnel warfare against a far superior enemy when I was in Iraq, living in tunnels. And obviously Hamas is getting ready for this right now. It looks like Israel and Hamas are going to be duking it out here pretty soon. And Hamas has had a lot of time not only to prepare hundreds of kilometers of tunnels with logistics and weaponry and everything that they would need, but it's also very clear from the videos that they're well trained. They've got a C-clamp on their rifle when they're gunning down civilians. It's kind of nuts, and I want to describe the sort of training that they're going to be conducting in tunnels against the Israeli army. The best way I can describe is obviously from my experience. When I was in Shengal, I was the team leader in charge of an entire tunnel system. And I was also at one point the squad leader, the person in charge of all of the internationals in Shengal. And one of the things that I would learn is that you need to train for absolutely every situation. Day 2 of anybody that comes to Shengal, we would train for seeing how they're going to react when there's bombing. Because you're going to get bombed when you're living in tunnels. There are going to be people dropping bunker busters, bombing entrances. There's going to be bombing. And that can create a lot of panic if you're not in the right mindset. So they would toss a frag right next to our room, it would blow up, and dust would go everywhere. It's extremely loud. It's 4 a.m. You just wake up to that. And everybody is in on it. Everybody knows what's happening except you. And they all yell, "We're being bombed, we need to go." And remember, it's pitch black. You're in the middle of this tunnel system. You're kind of freaked out already because day 2 of being there. And now you got to run away because you're being bombed. And you got to put on your shoes, grab your rifle, your rack, your backpack, and bolt out of there. And then we started hiking through there. And a couple hours later through the tunnels, they tell you, this is all just a game. This is all just to go and see how you're going to react. Beyond that, obviously the training has to be a little bit more intense. Being a guerrilla fighter, you do not have a specialty. It's not like one person is the RPG gunner, one person is the PKM gunner. Everybody needs to learn every weapon system, and that's something that I learned in the YPG. Everybody was a medic. Everybody was an RPG gunner, a PKM gunner, a Dragunov gunner, a AK. Everybody knew the team leader's job and what everybody's role was and what everybody's secondary role if somebody's hit. That's part of the training, and that's part of any militia's training, any military's training. And next up, one of the first things that we would do is as soon as we got to our tunnel system, we cleaned up the place. We made sure everybody knows what number bunker is whose and at what react to contact who's going to be going to which one. Okay, so we would obviously designate who's the RPG gunner for this week, or who's the PKM gunner, whoever it is. And from there, you go to different bunkers based on that. Not everybody's going to the same bunker. We've got like 10 of them up there. So we would have sectors by color codes. And then from different sectors, we go to different positions in order to get a good position to go and engage the enemy and get as much firepower on that sector as possible. Obviously, we would run through that drill a couple times. So we would go into the living space where we are, and then the guard duty on the radio would yell, "Sector green, sector green." And everybody would have to put on their gas mask because they're going to be bombing as well. And it gets dusty in the caves when there's bombs. So you put on your gas mask, you put on your helmet, you put on your rack, your rifle, and you got to do that all in order. A lot of people put on their helmet first, and then, oh shoot, I need to put on a gas mask. And eventually, after a couple repetitions of that, everybody knows what bunker they're going to, which weapon system they're bringing. If somebody gets injured, what is the protocol for that? And we drill for everything. And it only takes about a day in order for everybody to be on the same page. And then from there, every week, we would go through that drill a couple times. So that's certainly what Hamas is doing to some extent. Adding on to that, obviously the tunnels, we're not always going to have lights. We're not always going to have a charged up headlamp. So we got to do it completely blind. And tunnel systems, as much as you think that you get lost in them, when you're staying in the same place for a couple months, you learn every corner. You could do it blindfolded. And why do it blindfolded if it's already completely pitch black? Because there's no light. So we just turn off the generator, turn off the power, and we'd run through that same drill completely blind. And as somebody would call out a sector, we'd be running our hands along the wall, and then there'd be small things like the RPG warheads. If you fall in that, if you drop an RPG warhead, it can explode right there and kill you. So instead of wearing it on your back like you normally would with all the RPGs pointing upwards, it could dent into the ceiling and actually go off. So you got to carry it on your front, and you have to make sure that you're leaning forward. That way you have a little bit more control of where that thing goes, and it's right in front of you. You can do whatever you want with it. And most of the time when it comes to Shengal, there's not going to be much attacks. It's just going to be bombing. And when it comes to bombing, you got to make sure to have your gas mask with you at all times. We would train how many seconds can you put it on. I'd make sure that it was under 7 seconds. And we'd also have oxygen tanks. So if there's bombing and the guard duty says, "Hey, there's bombing," we would lock the door. You get our gas masks ready, at least prepped and ready for us to put on. And then we get the oxygen tanks placed in a corner where we can readily access them in case we need to go and have some oxygen supply. In case there's thermobaric bombs being dropped on us, it sucks out all the oxygen. So yeah, we had a lot of different scenarios. There's some of them I cannot say because of a lot of reasons, but There's some of them that I'll continue on. Like one of the drills was just weapon handling. So this is one that I would like to do when I was the squad leader. I would present to the guys and we'd practice this. So I would give them a certain sector and a certain bunker that they have to run to with their AK and then engage a target when I give them an ADRAC. Now an ADRAC is a Marine Corps term, alert, direction, description, range, assignment, control. Or in the Army or a lot of other militaries, it's the 3Ds: direction, distance, description. So as soon as I yelled out contact on the radio, they would put on all their stuff, grab their rifle, run through the tunnel, maybe blind, maybe not, and get to their position. And at that point, I would give them their ADRAC or 3Ds, and I'd have a target that I would set up 300 meters away. And they would have to first set up the sights for the AK because we're not rich enough to have red dots or any of that stuff. So set up the sights first and engage the target as fast as possible effectively. And we would run through that drill a couple times. A lot of people really liked it. And it's a good way to go and use your ammunition because you don't have tons of it. You're not rich. I mean, we're just a poor militia. You don't have tons of ammunition to use, and this is a good way to just use 3 rounds and get some good training time with your AK. And one of the other training scenarios I would do, it doesn't take place in the tunnels. We would do it on top of the base or next to it. And this was a sort of a training ground where it's live fire, and it would start off with a contact left or right. We'd run along the edge, and then you'd throw rocks as grenades or frags, and you'd throw them in there, and you get a certain amount of points for doing that, and then you'd engage some more targets, crawl around a bit, get to the PKM after you've just sprinted and fired your gun a bunch, and then you have to load the PKM, fix a malfunction, fire a burst into a target 300 meters away, and then sprint backwards to your starting position with the PKM. But then you pass by your buddy who's down there who's yelling for help, but next to your buddy is a target about 50 meters away, and obviously the best medicine you can give your friend who's down is a dead enemy. So you engage the target first, and then you go and apply a tourniquet to him and carry him back to the finish line. And even before the whole thing starts, I would have a memorization game, which I used to do in the Marine Corps, where I have them memorize 10 items that are inside this box, and they have to remember them within a minute before the course starts, and then after the course ends, you have to remember all of them right off the bat. That way you can recall information, recall different events right after a very stressful, strenuous training activity. And personally, I found that to be the most effective training means. Even though it didn't take place in the tunnels, it was a good way to go and get used to weapon handling, get used to using the different weapon systems we had, and even incorporating a little bit of medical. And speaking of medical, I was actually the medic for the majority of my time when I was in those tunnels for my team. So I was the team leader and medic. First thing I would do is I'd mark down exactly what we have, how many vials of it, and then I give it to the commanders. That way we could check up on it every month and see, hey, I just want to make sure accountability above all. And then the medical bag had everything. We had a sked as well, like an actual fixed board sked. And the medical bag was fantastic. It had multiple tourniquets, a litter, a sked that was right next to it. We had all sorts of pain management, as well as different pouches for massive or light trauma, lacerations, all that sort of stuff. So I would make sure everybody on my team knows where the massive hemorrhaging bag is inside the medical bag when it's completely pitch black. And everybody was trained on that. And not only that, but weapon disassembly, not only just the AK, but the PKM, Dragunov, RPG, don't really do much with that, but, and then also a Dushka, how do you use that stuff when it's dark? Hey, you have a malfunction, can you properly fix that? And these are just a couple of the training scenarios that Hamas is certainly doing. And these guys are obviously well trained, at least some of them. And I think it's worthwhile to know these guys are not just laying around. They're not just living in the tunnels or living out in the city and shawarma all day. No, they're training. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they need in order to withstand an invasion, and they're gonna be fighting tooth and nail to go and keep Gaza Strip. It doesn't matter what side you're on. Everybody should be knowledgeable about this stuff. Tunnels are not going anywhere. Taiwan, North Korea, every country in the world, even from the past Taliban, Viet Cong, who defeated the U.S. military. Every military in the world uses tunnels to some extent, and it's not going anywhere. So, thanks for listening to this little video I put out today. If you guys want any more videos about tunnels, let me know down in the comments. This was actually taken off of a comment. People were asking, how do you train in tunnels? And here it is. So, anyway, thanks to the members as well. You guys get a lot of these videos already. Some more videos are coming to you guys as well, some exclusive stuff. If you guys want to become a member, it'll be down in the description. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace. Hey buddy, what's up? Talk to me.
My leg.
Harder.
Shot.
Gotcha. Hey, stay there. Hey, try to get the tourniquet out if you can. What's up? This leg?
Yeah, this
Gotcha, buddy. No worries. No worries. Cool. Hey, just lift up your leg for me, alright? Thanks, bro. And there. Let me just tighten this up for you. No worries. Oh, it looks a little twisted. Awesome. Good to go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna get somebody to get you, all right? All right. Be right back, buddy. Let's go.